The old Victorian house on Maple Lane had seen better days. Its paint peeled in long, tired curls, and the porch swing creaked even when no one sat in it. But inside, the walls still carried the laughter of 75 years. Photographs lined the hallway like quiet sentinels. Grandma Rose at 20, radiant in a polka-dot dress. Rose at 40, arms around 3 small children. Rose at 60, blowing out candles while her husband kissed her temple. The house remembered every moment, even if she no longer did. Grandma. Rose herself sat in the same green armchair that had cradled 4 generations. Her silver hair, once pinned in perfect victory rolls, now floated in soft, unruly clouds around her face. Her hands, knotted with arthritis, rested on a knitted blanket the color of lilacs. She wore the same cardigan every day, soft sage green, sleeves pushed to the elbow, one button forever missing. It smelled faintly of lavender sachets and the vanilla, cookies she used to bake before the forgetting began. On the coffee table in front of her lay a stack of old letters tied with faded ribbon, a half-finished jigsaw puzzle of a Tuscan vineyard, and a single red rose in a crystal bud vase. The rose was new every morning. Her granddaughter Lily brought it without fail, clipping it from the bush that grew wild beside the garage, the same bush Grandpa Henry had planted the year they married. Today, like most days, Grandma Rose stared at the rose as though it were a riddle. Her pale blue eyes, still startlingly bright, searched its petals for something she could not name. Lily knelt beside the chair. "Morning, Grandma." Rose turned slowly, the movement careful, like someone waking from a long sleep. Her face rearranged itself into polite confusion. "Do I know you, dear?" Lily smiled the way she had practiced 1,000 times, gentle, unhurried, warm enough to melt the chill of being forgotten. "I'm Lily, I'm your granddaughter. And you're the prettiest lady on Maple Lane." A flicker. Something ancient and bright sparked behind Rose's eyes. Her lips curved, tentative at first, then wider, wider still, until her whole face glowed with a smile so radiant it could power the streetlights. Wrinkles became parentheses around joy. For one perfect second, the Alzheimer's retreated, ashamed of itself. "There it is," Lily whispered, heart aching in the best way. The loveliest smile in the world. Grandma Rose didn't answer. She rarely did these days, but she reached out and patted Lily's cheek with fingers that trembled only slightly. In that touch lingered every bedtime story, every scraped knee kissed better, every Christmas morning. Outside, the November wind rattled the windows, but inside the green armchair, time folded in on itself, and Grandma Rose was 25 again, dancing in her husband's arms while the radio played Glenn Miller. The house remembered, and for a moment so did she. Years before the forgetting, Grandma Rose owned a red wool coat with brass buttons that gleamed like coins. She wore it every autumn when the maple trees turned the street into fire. People said you could spot Rose Delaney 3 blocks away. Just follow the flash of crimson cutting through the gold. On the first truly cold day of November 2025, Lily found the coat hanging in the back of the hall closet, wrapped in plastic like a sleeping butterfly. She carried it to the living room where Grandma sat dozing. Chin on chest, the red rose from yesterday now wilted in its vase. "Grandma," Lily said softly, "look what I found." She held the coat up. The wool was still soft, the color still defiant. Rose's eyes opened. For a long time she only stared. Then slowly, she lifted one hand and touched a brass button as if greeting an old friend. "That's mine," she said, voice paper thin but certain. "It is," Lily answered, throat tight. "Want to try it on?" Getting Rose's arms into the sleeves took patience. Joints protested. Shoulders had narrowed. But when the coat finally settled around her, something miraculous happened. Grandma straightened. Her chin lifted. She looked for the first time in years tall. Lily fastened the buttons one by one. When the last clicked into place, Grandma Rose walked to the mirror above the fireplace. She studied her reflection with the solemn concentration of a queen, surveying her kingdom. "Hello, gorgeous," she told the woman in the glass. Then she turned, coat flaring like a cape, and smiled. That smile, Lord have mercy. It was the smile from every photograph. The one that had made Grandpa Henry propose after 3 dates. The one that had greeted soldiers returning from war. The one that had promised her grandchildren the world was kind. Lily's eyes filled. "You're breaking hearts in here, Grandma." Rose laughed, a real, throaty laugh that belonged to 1955, and twirled once, slowly, red wool catching the lamplight. The hem brushed the carpet like a ballroom gown. Later, when the coat came off and was returned to its plastic shroud, Grandma forgot it existed, but Lily hung it on the back of the armchair instead of hiding it away. Every day now the red coat waited like a dare, and some days, precious, unpredictable days, Grandma. Rose put it on and remembered she had once set the world on fire just by walking down the street. The idea came from a support group mom whose father only remembered he'd been a carpenter. When handed a hammer, "Give her something to hold on to," the woman had said. A word, a feeling, a truth bigger than the disease. So Lily started the compliment jar. It lived on the coffee table beside the daily red rose. A simple mason jar with a faded gingham lid. Inside were hundreds of tiny rolled scrolls, each one a compliment written in Lily's looping handwriting on strips of colored paper. "You have the loveliest smile I've ever seen. Your laugh sounds like wind chimes in summer. You make the best apple pie on planet Earth. Your eyes are the exact blue of Grandpa's ocean paintings. You are loved beyond measure." Every morning, after kissing Grandma's cheek, Lily would fish one out and read it aloud. Most days Rose listened politely, head tilted like a child hearing a fairy tale. Some days she repeated the words, tasting them. And on the best days, the golden ones, she smiled that smile. The one that turned strangers into friends and grief into light. One gray Tuesday, the hospice nurse arrived while Lily was at work. Grandma had refused breakfast, refused to leave the armchair, refused everything but silence. The nurse, a gentle woman named Maria, noticed the jar. "May I?" she asked the empty room. She drew a scroll, unrolled it, and read softly. "Your kindness once saved a lost dog in the rain and gave a little girl hope for the world." Grandma's eyes, dulled all morning, sharpened. She looked at Maria as though seeing an angel wearing scrubs. "I did?" she whispered. "You did," Maria said. "Certain, because love makes us all brave liars when needed." Grandma sat straighter. Color rose in her cheeks. And then, like sunrise after the longest night, the smile bloomed, slow, then all at once, dazzling. Maria texted Lily a single photo. Grandma rose, eyes shining, lips curved in purest joy. One hand pressed to her heart as if to keep the moment from escaping. Underneath, Maria wrote, "Whatever magic is in that jar, never let it run out." Lily bought more colored paper that same day. She wrote until her hand cramped. She recruited cousins, old neighbors, even the mailman. The jar never emptied again.
Winter arrived early, bringing ice on the windows and a hush that felt final. Grandma Rose spent more time sleeping, her breathing soft and shallow. The red coat stayed on the chair now. She was too frail to wear it. But the compliment jar still sat within reach, scrolls spilling over like confetti. On the evening of December 23rd, the whole family gathered. They brought lasagna, Christmas carols, and quiet dread wrapped in tinsel. Grandma lay in a hospital bed, moved into the living room so she could be near the tree. Lights she no longer noticed. Lily sat beside her, holding a hand gone bird-boned and cool. The others talked softly in the kitchen, giving them space. "Grandma," Lily said, voice cracking, "I need to tell you something important." She opened the jar, took the very last blank scroll she had saved, and wrote with a shaking pen, "You are my hero. Thank you for every smile." She read it aloud, then tucked it into Grandma's palm and closed her fingers around it. For a long moment, nothing. Then Rose's eyelids fluttered. She opened her eyes, clear, focused, impossibly blue, and looked straight at Lily. "I know you," she said, wonder in her voice. Tears blurred Lily's vision. "Yeah, Grandma. You know me." Rose's gaze traveled the room, tree lights. Familiar faces, the red coat waiting like a sentinel. Something settled in her expression, peaceful and certain. She smiled, not the fleeting flashes of late, but the full, glorious, heart-stopping smile that had once stopped traffic. On Maple Lane, it lit the room, brighter than any Christmas bulb. "Dance with me," she said suddenly, voice young and sure. The family froze. Grandpa Henry's old record player sat dusty in the corner. Lily's cousin Jonah understood first. He crossed the room, wound the crank, though it no longer needed it, and set the needle on Glenn Miller's Moonlight Serenade, the same song from years ago. There was no strength left in Grandma's body to stand, but that didn't matter. Lily slipped an arm behind her shoulders. Her uncle took the other side. Together they lifted her slight weight until her feet barely brushed the rug. And they danced slow, swaying circles beneath the colored lights. Grandma Rose closed her eyes, head against Lily's shoulder, and smiled like a girl in a red coat, who had just been told she was the most beautiful woman in the world. The song played. The family wept quietly, and in her husband's long-gone arms, Rose Delaney danced one last time.
Grandma Rose slipped away 3 nights later, peacefully in her sleep, still clutching the final scroll. Spring came early to Maple Lane the following year. The red rose bush beside the garage, Grandpa, Henry's bush, exploded with blooms so vivid they looked painted. More flowers than anyone could remember it ever bearing. Lily, now living in the old Victorian to keep it breathing, placed a small plaque beneath the bush, in memory of Rose Delaney, who taught us that a smile can outlive memory, and love can outrun time. Keep smiling, beautiful. Every morning, Lily clipped one perfect red rose and carried it inside. She set it in the crystal bud vase on the coffee table, right beside the compliment jar, still half full, because love multiplies when shared. The green armchair waited, empty but not lonely. The red coat hung on its back like a flag of victory, and on certain quiet evenings, when the light slanted gold through the windows in Glen, Miller drifted faintly from the old record player no one had turned on. Neighbors walking past the house would pause. They swore they saw, just for a moment, the silhouette of a woman in a red coat standing at the window. She was smiling, the loveliest smile they had ever seen, bright, enough to power the streetlights, warm enough to melt winter itself. Then she would lift one hand in greeting, and the scent of roses would fill the air, though no one was near the bush. Some truths are stronger than disease. Some smiles never fade. Grandma Rose was home,